Good morning and welcome to another edition of the award-winning second season of Raising the NSBAR. I'm Jeff Lasky, the CEO of this great organization, the North Shore-Barrington Association of Realtors. I hope you are continuing to stay safe and healthy. We are now doing our Raising the NSBAR podcasts on a different day and time, Thursdays at 1 o'clock p.m. We're going to give everyone a little time to adjust their viewing habits and see how the new day and time works. Please let me know at jeff@nsbar.org if you have any feedback about this new schedule. Since we're going with a new day and time, I'm very excited to go in a slightly different direction today with our guest. I have had NSBAR past presidents on Raising the NSBAR before, but I have had an urge to mix it up with someone who has the knowledge of one of our past presidents and isn't afraid to say what is on his or her mind. A guy who is a great friend of mine, but isn't afraid to push me on things. Someone who remains active at NSBAR and is one of the busiest instructors in Illinois and around the country. Mr. Wayne Paprocki is my guest today. Good afternoon, Wayne.
Hello, Jeff. A pleasure to be with you.
Sounds like our audience is packed with many of your former students.
Well, Wayne, I hope they're happy.
I'm sure they are. And look, I could use today's session to read your complete bio, but then we'd have to have you back next week to do the interview. There's a lot on there. Instead, I've decided to pick out a few things, and then you can sprinkle in anything else about yourself you feel is important during our time together. Does that make sense?
I'm happy with that.
The one thing I have to ask you right off the bat, though, is I don't know when you were first licensed in Illinois.
I was first licensed in 1981.
Wow. So, all right. Been around a while. And that was, I assume, as a salesperson, right, back in 81.
I was a salesperson with the no intent to ever be in real estate like many people, but I had started training the year before at GRI across the country when it was one solid week for each of the letters, and someone suggested it might be better if I get a license if I want to keep staying on the faculty.
Ah, good idea. All right, so let me just hit some highlights off of your curriculum vitae, so to speak. In 2015, of great importance to me, is that you were president of NSBAR in 2015. In 2017, Illinois Real Estate Educator of the Year, which, I mean, what an accomplishment there. You spent 3 years, it looks like, 2017 through 2019, on Illinois Realtors Board of Directors. You've been on the IDFPR Real Estate Board you were there 2005 through 2017. And you've been a CE and pre-license instructor for 14 different realtor associations and colleges. Did I get those about right?
Pleasant memories.
I added it all up, and I, you know what? Thanks for joining us. I really appreciate it. Oh, I do have a weekly icebreaker. I do this every week. I ask all of our guests what their favorite restaurant is. So I need to know your favorite restaurant. I'm compiling a list, because I'm spending more time on the North Shore now. So what's your favorite restaurant?
Well, right now, I guess with Thanksgiving around the corner, it's one of my favorite restaurants about once a year. And Al Gower's on the riverfront has probably the best local Thanksgiving buffet that anybody ever put out. And it's just amazing. They give you a bottle of champagne to take home to continue your Thanksgiving friendship with family, etc. So I would take a look at that this year, depending on what they're going to be doing for our situation with COVID-19. But what a great place that's become a yearly place for our families to go and not have to worry about dishes and cooking.
Yeah,
within Chicago, leave that alone for somebody else, but there are so many places. We tend to spend much of our time either ordering in or going to restaurants of so many varieties. So ideally, the one I would pick that maybe isn't even as much North Shore as in your neighborhood for one of the best Dover sole I've had for the years is Palm Court in Arlington Heights.
Oh, yeah.
After that, I got to go Chin's for seafood, Wildfire for consistency in steak and pork chops, and then my go-to every day, either carry out or eat in, is a Continental restaurant in Buffalo Grove. Peter is a tremendous cook, and his staff is excellent.
Joan and I have been to all of those places, except we've only been to Palm Court one time. We've only lived in Arlington Heights for 22 years, but for some reason, we've never quite gotten there, and we're desperately trying to get over to Palm Court, just to, because it's kind of the closest thing we've got down here to like supper club, you know, elevated kind of thing. So we're gonna do that. And,
Well,
and thank
I got to
you.
tell you, if it's Dover sole, there's some places in Chicago, but they are still the best Dover sole anywhere in Northern Illinois from my perspective.
Terrific.
And then
You know
again,
what? Oh,
if
I'm
you
sorry.
want to continue, any good Italian restaurant in Edison Park, Zia, Basta Pasta, I could do 2 hours on the show, but I think everybody should look at, including you, to look at some of the tape of Chicago's best on TV. They really highlight a
Yes.
lot of network and cute places.
Love
Anyway,
those. No Pino
okay.
on Northwest
Now,
Highway. Yep.
since you've been doing this, you've got your list of restaurants, but I'm
Yeah.
wondering what's yours?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I would share that, except you've used up all of our restaurant time with
Okay.
your list, with your long list. So I've got to at least get some information out of you about real estate today and about all the neat stuff that you've got going on. So,
Do
but
it.
I will tell you, Nono Pino's is great Italian. Well, no, I can't go there right now. We
No,
gotta talk
go.
about this stuff.
Go
But
ahead.
I'm gonna ask you first about business, because you're out there and about. How are you seeing things out there? Are business kind of solid right now,
Well,
or?
I'm not nearly as active as I was. I keep an inventory, but send a lot of referrals out. My goal always has been to send 100 referrals out every year because it's like going to work and making money and not having to show up. But more importantly, I'm learning from my coaching students and the offices I go to regularly to train in off of my Zoom meetings. And agents, it seems, across the country are the agents that are serious and focused like a laser beam are way above their goals for 2020. Some have already surpassed their 2019 goals, and the numbers are amazing in that perspective to me. And some companies have had some record years. So there seems to be a tremendous reason to thank our situation that the Realtors lobbied for to make us an essential service since March. Because a
Absolutely.
lot of agents are helping a lot of people. And I just saw this morning, one of my links was a 2.145 15-year mortgage quote.
Oh, yeah, no. I got to tell you too, if there was a year, as you just suggested, where you don't have to be theoretical about it, you can specifically point to things, and the essential business, getting that to be the case in Illinois. I mean, talk about the RPAC being, the return on your investment is just unbelievable. So I appreciate you bringing that up. I also appreciate you bringing up making money without showing up for work, only because I know Bradley's been working on a plan to do that for himself. So I think that's kind of interesting that you mentioned that. But how about training? How about, have you been staying busy lately? How's training going out there?
Well, as an example, years ago, when I was out on the road putting my nearly 2 million air miles up, I'd leave on Sunday for a 4-day run and come back Thursday night. Well, last week I had my 4-day run, but I was home for every day training on Zoom. So I am very active on Zoom. In fact, for the last 6 weeks, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, for sure I have booked training. And then I had a program just a few days ago for the Fox Valley Realtors. And then I've got a program tomorrow for a company. And I've got some live training that's starting to come back on a monthly basis with the companies that I have the privilege of training for and sharing some of my selling skills and negotiating skills. So it is amazing how I can run my life without having to leave home and still hopefully give them the quality they got if they saw me face to face, eyeball to eyeball.
Terrific. And I assume, like, for everybody that I've spoken to who has done training, it's taken a little bit of time to adjust to doing it in a different format all the time rather than in person doing Zoom. It's just different. It's a little different, but it's something, I mean, pros handle, right? So,
Sure.
yeah. You mentioned earlier when you were licensed, when you got licensed in real estate. I didn't ask you what you did before real estate.
Well, my life really started right out of college as a keynote speaker, trainer, and consultant to major corporations, people that I've had for years as PepsiCo, General Electric, Kraft, several home warranty companies, insurance companies, and that became the way in which I eased into, as I said, getting a license, because I was on the GRI faculty and got my license. I also have been big on something I read years ago, 2 books, the E Factor or E Myth by Michael Gerber, which he's expanded into tons of books, but he talked about buying businesses to sell businesses. And then Andrew Carnegie told us many years ago in his material, 90% of the self-made millionaires made their money in real estate and owning businesses. So that became my focus. So right before I left the corporate consulting and added real estate to my training, I also had several businesses. The most, I guess, interesting one was back in 1980. We had an investment diamond firm. We sold investment grade diamonds to people so they could use them in their retirement portfolios, because I'm big on an exit strategy for anybody. So that's the cute one, selling investment grade diamonds and learning about the diamond industry.
Well, it's always interesting. Everybody we've had on, when you ask them about their background, you end up being, I shouldn't say you, I end up being surprised at the different places everybody has been, the different experiences everybody's had, and brought them to real estate. It's really interesting. With your, and I know you talk to students, other real estate professionals all the time, and I know that you ask them about what makes someone successful in the business. So I'm going to ask you for 1 or 2 things you feel everyone in our audience could do to experience great success in real estate.
Well, if it's in real estate, I feel it's a simple 3-part formula. First, every week, try to bring a saleable seller into your company's listing portfolio. Secondly, learn how to separate lookers from buyers. And third, sell in-house inventory, because there might be a better split, plus your company gets the benefit. So those are the 3 things. Bring in a saleable listing first, separate lookers from buyers, and realize that if you sell in-house inventory, something's to be there. The best quote I like to say is, you don't need them all, you don't want them all, and you ain't going to get them all. You find, attract, and keep enough consumers in your database to become clients to achieve your yearly business plan goals.
Now, and obviously, much of the training that you do, or I shouldn't say much, but some of the training you do out there is certainly focused on exactly what you're talking about now, right?
I actually tell my potential clients that my focus is on lots of stuff, LOTSA, because I love acronyms, Jeff. Listings, objection handling, selling skills, time control, and attitude control. That's the mix.
There you go. Good. All right. Well, that's a good lead in for me into, this is something I want to try with you, because you're a friend of mine, so I trust that you're going to be helpful to me in this. But I'm going to introduce a new section to our podcast. I'm calling it Rapid Fire, the Rapid Fire section in the podcast. And what I'm going to do is just toss out, 2 or 3 subjects. And I know that these are close to your heart, because you and I have spoken before about stuff like this. And after you share a bit about each of these subjects, I'm going to reserve the right to ask you a few questions, maybe dig a little deeper on each one. Does that sound good?
Perfect.
Okay, good. So the first thing I'm going to throw out is negotiation. And I want to ask you about this. You said negotiaphobia. I think I pronounced it correctly. Negotiaphobia. Talk to me in the audience about this.
Well, obviously, John F. Kennedy said, let us never fear to negotiate, but never let us negotiate out of fear. And too many people misunderstand what fear really is. So the bottom line is, there are certain skill sets, most of it developed by major universities, Harvard, Wharton, and I've captured a lot of that. I've spent a lot of time at Harvard School on program on negotiating, talked to some Wharton professors. Right here in Illinois, Lee Thompson at Northwestern is a tremendous source for understanding how to cure negotiaphobia. And right now I'm finishing up the rest of my new courses that are going to be available soon to agents in training on negotiating multiple offers. It looks like I have a 4-hour course for selling agents and a 6-hour course for sellers agents, because there seems to be so many multiple offers, and many people fear having to negotiate a multiple offer, either as the buyer's agent or the seller's agent. But if you become competent, confident, and natural in your skill set, wow, that's the technique that helps you cure that phobia of negotiating.
And it would seem to me that if you are confident in your negotiating skills, that, boy, you'd love to have multiple offers, obviously, on every deal, right? I mean, that's...
Absolutely. I spend so much time on my weekly coaching sessions with my agents in the Wayne's World of Wealth Building program, and we talk multiple offers probably more than anything in the last month.
Interesting. Yeah, well, we've had that kind of market, too.
The numbers are scary.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, earlier you mentioned exit strategy, and one of the things you've talked to me about as a really effective exit strategy for real estate professionals and others is real estate investing. So can you talk a little bit about real estate investing for us?
Yeah, first of all, I feel many agents do not have an exit strategy. Some are fortunate to have a partner or a spouse that can help that process, but many people would still like to live a better life as they wind down. I am a listing agent. As you saw from my resume, my record was 67 listings in 70 days, no relatives or friends. I focus on listings because they're the name of the game. So I found out years ago that old realtors never die. They just become listless. And because of that, they don't have an exit strategy. They make, spend, maybe save. So real estate, and this is what's ironic to me, as a sales trainer for many auto companies, insurance companies, I did a big program for a large insurance company awarding the top agents who made over $1 million in commissions that year. I did some research. 8 out of those 10 agents were in the top 10 of how much life insurance they owned. They believed in what they sell. And my question always is, why are you selling real estate and not buying it? So with that said, my focus has been on building a system. In fact, I'm doing that program tomorrow for a real estate company. Real estate, the ideal investment. And with that said, we have tax laws. We have benefits that no other real estate investor gets unless you're a real estate professional. A quick analysis. Many years ago, we passed the 179 tax deduction, depreciating all your assets in the first year for your office work, your computers, etc. Then in 1998, we passed the no limit to passive rules. And just 2 years ago, we passed the Tax Credit Jobs Act, which gives agents 20% of their income wiped out, unless they're a top producer. But most agents benefit from that. Now, I'm going to suggest that you realize that that first law was passed around the time Richard Milhouse Nixon was president. The second act was passed during the presidency of William Jefferson Clinton, and the third act was just passed under the presidency of Donald J. Trump. It's interesting that the best 3 bonuses for real estate professionals in investing in real estate was passed during the presidency of the 3 impeached presidents. I'm not going to go there, but wow. They sure made it better, easier, and much more successful. So I believe, very simply, Jeff, people either buy 2 and invest, and buy 2 and keep them to hold every year they're in the business, or now buy 3, flip 2, and keep 1. That's your exit strategy. Depreciation, income, leveraging, all kinds of things. And I could spend hours, and I'd love to present that to any company, because I'm focused like a laser beam on agents living a better life when they choose to become listless.
Well, and I love that, by the way. My longtime friend, Barry Paoli,
oh, sure,
100 years ago said to me, Jeff, if you don't list, you don't last. That's how he always used to say it. If you don't list, you don't last. And yeah, I mean, but I love that listless. I'm using that, Wayne. I'm going to let you know.
Feel free. And I'll tell you one thing besides Barry's advice. If you don't prospect when you're busy, you won't be.
I like that too. Well, and I do have to say, now I can do another RPAC plug. Let's make sure that through RPAC we all support senators that are going to be willing to impeach the president, because then that almost guarantees some kind of benefit to, real estate professionals, right?
Well, in one respect, on the other hand, I've always said to my seminars, I don't really care who you're voting for, Wayne. It doesn't really make a difference because over history, wealth transfers from one group of people to another group of people. It doesn't make a difference. It just transfers in a different way. And the ORs always transfer to the EEs. So whether we have a Republican president who does tax cuts or a Democratic president who increases minimum wages and does other things, whatever they do, it doesn't make a difference because the wealth always transfers from the transferor, the people that are losing the wealth, to the people that are gaining wealth. Mm-hmm. So it really doesn't make a difference. It's just ironic that those three presidents were around when the three biggest benefits to real estate investing to realtors, it just happened. I'm sure it's a coincidence. So to me, either way, it doesn't make a difference because I'll have my investment strategies and I can share my investment strategies, whether you have the person who is taking money away from you one way or another way. It always happens.
You mentioned one other thing to me as something that you thought would be interesting to talk about, that I was surprised when you mentioned it, because it never would have occurred to me that home warranties would be something that would be interesting to talk about even for a moment on a podcast. But you suggested to me that you wanted to talk about home warranties for just a second. So I'm going to give you the floor on that.
For 1 second, every person should have one in a single family home. Now, I'll go on beyond the 1 second. My business model started years ago with multiple streams of income. So I started my own home warranty company, American Home Warranty Services Corporation. Eventually got rid of it and sold it. But the bottom line is I train for a lot of home warranty companies. I put home warranties on my properties, and I hear home warranty presentations. The biggest problem, our agents are offering this blanket thing they call a home warranty, but don't often know the limitations and the situations. I change warranty companies. There are new ones coming on. I'm currently a consultant for two of the largest warranty companies in North America, and talking to some others periodically. What I found is, and I just found out two more new ones, Amazon just hit the market. Every single warranty company has something different. I'm currently with a warranty company now on my own home where I just had my pest control done. I was paying $190 a year or each time I wanted them to come in. I can now have them come in for $75, my trade fee. I can get my carpets done, my wine cooler. One company out there just called me. They're going to give unlimited tune-ups to furnaces and HVACs. That will save somebody money. Plus, they have different ways of covering different kinds of appliances, high-end appliances. But we see that at the Real Estate Negotiation Institute, Jeff, as a way to make the pie bigger. Not just a 1-year warranty, but why not give somebody a 2 or 3 or 4, 5-year warranty as they buy a house? Let's make the pie bigger in negotiations. Plus, we have too many things that can break or need repairs or need fixing. I just had a shower valve replaced. It happens to be a Growy shower faucet. The plumber went to Banner Supply and paid $464 for that shower valve and installed it. I paid the company $75. I cannot speak high enough about home warranties, and I really feel agents listening to this have to start analyzing in a comparison flow chart each different company and each different ways in which they cover limitations, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't see how anybody in their right mind purchasing real estate of almost any size value can afford not having a home warranty and not using a home inspector and not using an attorney. But home warranties are definitely a big return. And even my income properties, every single family or duplex I own, and there are several, have home warranties. My tenants just call the 800 number and get a new dishwasher or one repair. So I am focused like a laser beam. I'm passionate. I feel it's a value added benefit to make the pie bigger when you're negotiating. Plus it's common sense for consumers.
Well, you certainly educated me on the subject, because I honestly did not realize that there's a great opportunity for realtors that want to put some time in and some work in to differentiate themselves, to be able to understand those differences and provide a benefit to their clients.
And see, that's the key, except they just offer either one that is recommended or whatever. Again, there's two new ones. I never heard of Amazon. I looked at Amazon. I see strengths. I see weaknesses. Depending on the property, different warranty companies have a better plan. Just like when I have to insure all my buildings. Some companies will focus on my multi-units. Some don't want to touch them. So you have to realize all warranty companies are definitely not the same. And all warranty companies have unique ways in which they're bringing things to the table, like rekeying your home if you move in. Some cover attic fans, some don't. I could go on, and it's almost like somebody needs to sit down and have a seminar on what should I look for and how do I compare A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, P, because there's probably more than you realize out there. Not just the major ones you see advertised or pop in to talk to realtors at meetings.
All right. Well, I'm always fascinated by people like yourself who are busy. You work with clients, you do your teaching, all of the stuff that you've got going on, and yet you still found time and continue to find time to be involved in your realtor association. And, and I say, obviously, I greatly appreciate that. I'm going to ask you why you became involved in NSBAR in the first place, and did it pay off for you in terms of your business as well as just, giving back to the industry?
Well, it goes back to when I really started training a lot of large major insurance companies and stockbrokers, stock brokerage businesses in selling skills. I had a 10-week spaced learning program to give them a lot of the things I now teach in my program to realtors called Selling School. I realized that I had to develop a presentation. And so I developed what I thought were the key elements of a professional. And I believe this goes along with any realtor as well, because we're in the service business. And it has 5 points. One is the will to learn. And education is from womb to tomb. As you know, we just dropped the minimum requirements by age and course hours to get a real estate license. We're down to 18 and we're down to 75 hours, a 60 and a 15. It was at 90 and you had to be 21. So getting the license is the first step. It's like you're in the womb and you've got a 75-hour birthing process. Take the state exam. Now you've got to be trained, whether it's excellent training at NSBAR with your orientation and other things, whether it's company training, but then it goes beyond that. We have designations, certifications of all kinds out there. I have 2 of them. Bottom line is that the will to learn means you go beyond just the womb and take it forever. Second component, the need to intern. I totally believe people need a coach. People need somebody to do something along those lines. And there's something I learned a long time ago, because I am a mentor and I had mentors. The privilege of me having the mentors I did made me. Mentors are an essential piece of evolution to being a top producing agent. They're essential. I don't care if it's an online coach, a face-to-face coach, but somebody outside of your office who wants you to reach your potential. So the will to learn, the need to intern, and then I believe the sense to specialize. That's why we have designations. I'm a master certified negotiation expert. That's my designation. That's what I believe in. I also have other designations, but I specialize in negotiations. Every agent, we have ABR, we have the SRES, we have tremendous specialties. And that's the key to building a model so you become a success participator instead of a success spectator. The fourth thing is the time to fraternize. And gosh, I've watched NSBAR grow its YPN program. It was kind of dormant for years. I really think you should think about, and your board should think about, not just the young people's network, but what about the elderly people's network? There are people there that could fit in. But either way, the time to fraternize, the events we had over the past years, the day you announced you were going to be our CEO, That was a tremendous event, and I see more of those happening. I created in 2015 Vertex, and we had a big program at the Westin in Wheeling.
I remember.
The last thing, and that's the major reason, is the desire to contribute, to give back. If you looked at my web page, if you looked at my envelopes, my stationery, it says we get by giving. And so whether it's giving just to RPAC, whether it's giving as a board member, as a committee member, and seeing the benefit, it's something we have to do. We are a Realtor family, and you take care of family. And by giving back, you do. I would love to see more people involved in a committee. But the will to learn, the need to intern, the sense to specialize, the time to fraternize, and the desire to contribute are why I do this. And when talking about if my business has got better, I guess that's a side business. I like to use quotes or make up things, but I have a quote about this business and people that are in it for the wrong reason. In real estate, you never can get too much money because you're an independent contractor. You write your own paycheck, somebody else signs it. But more importantly, when money gets you, that's too much. It's like if you do what you're supposed to do, stay focused like a laser beam, focus on one thing until you're successful. That part will happen. I'm sure I picked up some relationships. I remember this one situation. I got a training job in Missoula, Montana, because they interviewed 3 people who were distinguished real estate instructors. I was selected, but that's how they screen them out. Some are screened out in real estate by their SRES or their ABR or some other reason. So yes, I think helping the board and sharing ideas has not only benefited the board, I hope, but also benefited me in meeting people, which are connections. And you well know, if you build relationships, there's something there. I mean, many of the top trainers in the country are building relationships in their training. So that's it, 5 components of a professional. And so I am at this board, and I hope to share what I can, and we go forward together.
Yeah, continue to share, as you've already been so involved over the years, back on our finance committee this year, which I greatly appreciate. When I talk to real estate professionals about becoming involved in NSBAR, I do make the point to them that while we can all understand the benefit to everybody about being involved in an association, being a part of the Realtor family, that there really is a benefit to your business. And I think you touched on that with the relationships that you've created, the networking that you do, and obviously the education, improving what you do, building on your skills. NSBAR is obviously a great resource for that kind of education.
Well, and there's one thing that's got to take it to the next level. Education without application is worse than worthless. But just because you take something doesn't mean you accomplished anything. That course, that content has to take you into making a change, which is a challenge, but it's a choice. So just taking CE, just taking a seminar doesn't mean anything. Knowledge is not power in Wayne's way. In Wayne's world, knowledge is only potential power. It does not become power until you use it.
Yeah, that's a great message. Because again, often is the case, we'll see it in some of our classes where agents rush in at the last minute because they got to knock out their CE, and it's a shame because everything's an opportunity. Go in there, and while you're knocking out your CE requirements, take a class that's really helpful to you, that you can apply like you suggested. I think that's great advice. Really do. All right, so now let's take a look at, when I say 2021 for a minute. Everybody, of course, wants the pandemic hopefully to go away as soon as possible. So let's go past the pandemic, and I'm going to ask you what you're looking forward to in 2021.
Well, I'm surely looking forward to a still strong interest rate market. The Fed seems to be saying to not be able to bother with interest rates until 2023. That seems to be their goal, that their chair Fed said. And I really believe, honestly, I know we're at a presidential election, but I believe the most powerful person in this country is not the president. It's the chairman of the Federal Reserve System. because they control the money supply, which impacts the bond rates, which impacts the interest rates. And so I'd like to see these interest rates, because I remember in 1980 when we had a 21% prime rate and over a 10% unemployment rate, and we had a misery index. That's not even close to that today, even with our unemployment still coming down, but still too high, plus low inflation. I think our misery index is probably about 10%. So in spite of all the stuff going on, there still seems to be an economy changing. And I just talked with some people that work with American Enterprise Institute. And I am creating a program that I did years ago with Phillips Petroleum and Pepsi, free enterprise. Sometimes we forget how well it works. So I hope 2021 is understanding free enterprise, and even the real estate entity and the agents who are basically commission salespeople. The other concern I have is whether or not we can find a way to cure this and get people back to somewhat normal. But change is a challenge, and it's a choice. It's even a choice right now. So accept the changes, seek the challenges, and try to make them work for you, because you just have to adjust. I am getting spoiled a little bit driving up to the front of the restaurant to pick up my food instead of having to park my car, go outside, pay for the check, bring the food, wait for the food, and then go back in my car. So there are, again, challenges, but there are choices. So I see that as another big issue, but interest rates seem to be the same thing. And then if we get enough people who can see the reason to move up or whatever, we end up with a market that has much more inventory, because it seems, with few exceptions, we are in an inventory shortage at a time when interest rates are so attractive, which is why we're having so many multiple offers. So interest rates, inventory should be the key components, and then curing this COVID-19, or at least making it a safer world with some adjustments. Flexibility is the name of the game.
We've seen some statistics, and I haven't seen anything recently, but it seemed like there was an uptick in new housing starts, which is good news, right? I mean, that's where we can get this inventory built. Maybe eventually there'll be a light at the end of that tunnel, I suspect. But I hope my audience has been had pen and paper or their notebooks or whatever it is open, because there's so much great information today, Wayne, that I'm sure we're able to take notes and improve upon the business that they're doing today. So, but before I let you go, I'm going to ask you, is there anything that you want to leave our audience with? Anything I forgot to bring up that you want to talk about?
I have wondered what's going to happen when we needed to hire a new CEO. And the bottom line is, to take us at the beginning of the next century, I'm confident, I'm obviously at ease, because of your dedication, your discipline, your desire, and your determination to make this the premier real estate board in the state of Illinois, and to grow our members to where we pass that 4,000 member mark in the next few years. So I'm sure I'm speaking for everybody listening. Thank you, Jeff Lasky, for being our person moving us into the new century.
Well, I'm going to tell you flatly, I'm so proud to be here, and I am so gratified by the support that I am getting from people like yourself, not just our current leadership, but people that have been in leadership before and continue to stay involved. The reason that NSBAR is just growing incredibly right now, frankly, and the reason that we're having the success that we're having is because of the people that have already been here and the people that are just ready to rock on this thing. So I could thank you for your comments, and I got to tell you, this has been terrific. I can't thank you enough for joining our podcast today, sharing your wisdom, your perspectives. I'd like to also personally thank you for the work you do with NSBAR. I'm excited to continue working with you on projects, initiatives in the future. I know that we're going to be organizing a diversity and inclusion program that you're going to be helping us out with. That's going to be coming up, I think, in January. We're working on that. We're starting to work on that right now. You know what, Wayne, is there a website where our audience can find you case they want to reach out to you and talk to you about your
always
classes.
email me at wayne@waynepaprocki.com. My training has been pretty much set with key people, and I'm very selective to who's interested. I am ready to launch a new coaching program that'll be at Wayne's World of Wealth Building, but that's not really active yet because I'm starting a new mentoring program for agents that are more at the beginning than the experienced agents. But Wayne Paprocki, or my phone number, 847-293-2369, is the best way to communicate, reach me. Or if you see a course advertised or your company has one, please try to attend. I think I can bring you facts, figures, and you'll finish smarter if you spend some time with me.
Yeah, and certainly keep an eye, whatever associations you get emails from, communications from, keep an eye on the list of education classes, professional development classes from those organizations. I know that you'll catch Wayne on a number of those as well. So a number of different ways to do this. Thanks again, my friend. I really appreciate it.
A pleasure. Keep doing what you're doing.
Bye, Jeff. That's a wrap. Please don't forget to keep an eye on NSBAR Communications to stay current on NSBAR happenings. Thank you, Bradley Laberman, for the great job running the board. And thanks to you for tuning in to Raising the NSBAR. I very much appreciate it. Talk to you soon.